Hey guys! So today I'm going to get into my weight loss journey, and I'm also going to go into the details of my fitness routine during this quarantine summer. So let's just get right into it. So to get into my weight loss story, I'm going to kind of start at the beginning. So that would be my childhood. Like most people who tell their weight loss stories, I was always the bigger kid in class. I was always the biggest girl. I wasn't the tallest, so I was just kind of the roundest girl. I didn't really struggle too much with bullying. There were definitely times that I can remember people picking on me for my size or feeling insecure in my body. And that goes right in up to today, but I definitely as a kid I struggled with it a lot. One of my most vivid memories as a kid actually was in the 2nd grade. I started to develop like little girl boobies, and I was like the only girl who had them, and I noticed that. I was wondering why nobody else was getting them. But so even in high school, I know that I was the biggest girl in class. I felt uncomfortable in our uniform. I, didn't eat at school. I hated that. And that actually reminds me that it started in 7th grade, I believe, is when I stopped bringing a packed lunch to school. So that's when it really kicked off like an unhealthy eating pattern. I wouldn't have breakfast, and if I did have something for breakfast, it would be something very carb heavy, something sugary, something quick so that I can get to school. Wouldn't pack a lunch. Then I would eat when I got home, and it would be like a really maybe like chicken nuggets and fries or like a big plate of pasta, and that would basically be enough calories to be like a whole meal. But then I would have dinner with my family and then probably like something for dessert later. So that started when I was in 7th grade, so about the age of, I think you're 13, around that grade. And then in high school it was kind of the same pattern, except then in high school I started working. So it was going where I would have these long hard shifts. I was working in a grocery store, so I was on my feet the whole time. I ended up becoming like a senior employee, so I was working these extra long shifts. I was never moving, never taking breaks, never eating something for lunch. But then I would go home, binge on something just because I was absolutely starving, fall asleep, wake up for dinner, and then binge again because I was still hungry. So it's kind of always been a part of my life. When I started driving, that was actually even worse because my sister and I, we would go out. It wasn't too often, but when we went out, we would go to McDonald's, we would get something to eat, get some breakfast. Maybe on the way home, we'd get a donut and a cup of coffee. I remember when we used to get McDonald's breakfast, it was this McDonald's breakfast wrap, and there was a hash brown in it, and sometimes I would get 2 of them and actually get a hash brown or 2 on the side. So I remember at the time thinking like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, I don't eat all day, I'm just gonna have this. But I would never do that now. Thinking about that now actually makes my stomach upset because it's just so greasy, so bad for you. And we were doing it more than once a week, I believe. In university, I was under a lot of pressure. I was really stressed. The eating habits were even getting worse. I don't consider myself a binge eater because I've never actually been diagnosed with it, but I was way overeating. I was addicted to the taste of food, and it was kind of like I had never dealt with the reasons why I was turning to food. So we would eat, if we opened a bag of chips, it would have to be the whole bag of chips. If it was a box of cookies, it'd be at least an entire sleeve, if not the whole box of cookies. So thinking, it's kind of hard for me to bring it up because my weight loss journey has been going on for such a long time now that it's almost hard to remember what it was like before. So I think that one of the reasons why a lot of us struggle with our weight is because the people that we surround ourselves with do as well. So, we always get comments on our weight, family members, kind of like pinching us or poking us, telling we're soft. I think that's like an Italian thing. It's like your family will feed you all this food and then tell you that you're looking fat, basically. If you're European, you kind of know where I'm coming from because it's like this thing where you can't turn down the food, but when you don't turn down the food and you accept the food and you eat the food, it's like, whoa, you should not be eating that much food, or you're changing your body, you're making your body bigger, you shouldn't be bigger, you should be smaller. And that might be directed at women, but I know that some men face those same problems and insecurities too. When we were kids and growing up, it'd be like pasta for dinner almost every night, maybe some protein if mom picked it up that week. But really, it was carb heavy meals all the time. It was fried foods, or like frozen foods that we would just quickly throw into the oven because they were quick. And my mom's a working mom, so you know, she'd like to save some time. My dad's always busy. My dad would always be working multiple jobs. My mom would come home and basically work another job trying to take care of us, but it would be doing things to make it a little bit easier, and I totally understand that. I was never an active child. None of my sisters were, but I always dreaded like gym class. I always dreaded when they would make us play outside. I would always dread like field trips where there would be like excessive walking, or I wasn't unsure of like the terrain, if it would be like a little bit more of a hilly platform, or if I would even struggle, or even if I wanted to try, I just felt insecure, and I knew that people might be like, what is she even trying? Like, she cannot do that. So I wouldn't even want to. In grade 9, in gym class, I remember like whenever you got your period, you know, use that as an excuse so you wouldn't have to participate. If you're a girl, you get me in. If you've done that, comment down below, because I mean, I feel like most of us can relate to that, especially if you're someone who struggles with your weight. It was really hard. If you've ever done the beep test in gym class, I would have to stop after like maybe 7 beeps, and I would be so embarrassed, but my friend would stop with me so that neither of us would feel uncomfortable for stopping early. Doing the workouts, doing the public weighing, oh, I hated that. I absolutely hated that. And I would actually ask my gym teacher if I could weigh myself at home and then record it personally. I told her I'd be completely honest with my weight, but I didn't want to do it in front of the other girls. Another struggle of being a teenage girl when you're overweight is like you would go to the mall shopping with your friends, and you knew that you wouldn't really fit into any of the stores that they wanted to go into. Raise your hand if you were an Old Navy girl. I was an Old Navy girl. I still am an Old Navy girl to a certain extent, but you kind of know what I'm talking about when I say the shops that we couldn't fit into. So by the end of grade 11, I had wanted to try Weight Watchers. Grade 12 was coming up. We were going to be going to prom, starting, you know, a new path in our lives. I wanted to lose some weight, especially to fit into my prom dress and look good. So I started Weight Watchers with my mom that summer, and I remember I had to drop something off at my friend's house right before school started, and she hadn't seen me in a couple weeks. And I remember her commenting on my weight loss. I must have lost a couple of pounds. And she said, oh wow, you look so good. And it must have only been a couple pounds, but I felt really good about it. So, you know, I was really eager to keep going on Weight Watchers and keep going with my mom. And then at one point I had to get a doctor's note because I was underage at the time. She had to sign off to like permit me to go to the Weight Watchers meetings. I remember when I first went to Weight Watchers, they weigh you in to get you like your starting weight. And by the time I had gone to the doctor's office the next week, she weighed me as well to kind of like put it all in my file to say like, oh, this is her starting weight when she's starting Weight Watchers. And then, you know, if anything goes wrong or if it goes really good, the doctor would know exactly what happened in that timeline. But I remember it had only been a week after I started Weight Watchers, but I was already down, I think maybe like 6 or 7 pounds. So I was really excited and I wanted to keep going to Weight Watchers. People were noticing I was losing weight. It was going really well. And I finally found something that was making me feel good and I could lose the weight. Eventually, I stopped going to Weight Watchers, but it did last a little while. I don't think it was a full year, but I did lose weight to get into my prom dress. I think I lost maybe 30 pounds to fit into my prom dress. So I was feeling pretty confident, you know, when I went to try on my dress, even shopping for the dress, I was dreading that, but I had lost a little bit of weight. So I felt like a little bit better. And then when university came along, you know, the eating pattern nothing about it had changed. I was still working a lot. I had started working when I was 16, and by this, it's been already 2 years. I had even more hours at work. You know, I had even joined extracurriculars in high school, so there was even less time where I could find time for exercise or like a balanced diet. So by the time university rolled around, I was even in a worse off position. I think I already mentioned that I was super stressed, but I know a lot of you can relate to that. So I was, you know, feeling a lot of pressure. I was never eating right. I would come home and do a ton of snacking. I would do snacking at school. If I bought a lunch at school, it probably wasn't the best choice. It might be like a slice of pizza because that was the cheapest option. And then by the end of university, I went through a really rough summer personally. So I was just packing on the weight. I think I started university maybe around 280, but by the end of third year, that summer, I think I was 320 is my heaviest weight. So around 320, 325. But that was near the end of university. We went through a really rough summer. We were having pizza for dinner almost every night. We were, doing a ton of snacking, doing a group binge eating. So I don't mean to trigger anyone with that word, but because I've never been diagnosed, as I've said, but it was like, massive consumptions of calories and food and very low nutrition and not even caring at all. At that point, I think I was working maybe 2 jobs. I was going to university. I was just starting a business with my sister, Sarah. We were doing party planning. Weight loss and exercise and nutrition and health were the last things that I would be thinking about at all. So it had been a little bit after university. Now we're into 2017. I was at my heaviest weight. Things had started to calm down in my personal life. So I decided that I would join the gym. Sarah and we joined a local wellness center. It wasn't like one of those fitness clubs. It was more of like a local recreation center where they had, a swimming pool, a hot tub, a sauna, small gym area, a track, those kinds of things. Basic equipment, not a ton of machines. It just kind of all fit in the rec center. So we would go to the gym, and we actually started in February of 2017. I was still at my heaviest, so around 320 to 325. And we started doing aquafit classes. So we would go a couple times a week. We would do low impact aqua fitness classes. We were pretty much the youngest people in the classes. It was mostly senior citizens. But for us, it was something to do. We were getting out there, we were moving, and it was fun. And it was something to do other than eating together, watching TV. So then a little bit of that. And by the summertime, we had ventured into like the fitness club, and we were doing elliptical. We would go on the elliptical for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And then at this time, just all at once, for some reason, a bunch of my friends started getting into new relationships, and I would ask them how they were, meeting their significant others or their new boyfriends and girlfriends, and they would say they were meeting them on dating apps. So I decided to put myself out there. And in the summer of 2017, I went on a dating app called Hinge, if you're familiar with it. And I started talking to Michael. If you know, Michael is my current fiance. We're engaged to be married next year. I was still around my heaviest weight. Maybe I had lost a couple of pounds from the aquafit and trying to eat a little bit better, but I was still around maybe 315 pounds. So a lot of my friends were saying, just put yourself out there, like there's somebody for everyone. So I did that. And then by the time I was ready to, meet Michael, and that was kind of like, it seemed like it was an opportunity, I knew that I didn't want to meet him if I wasn't being my best self. I didn't feel that I could be in a relationship completely if I didn't know how to be with myself. And if you don't know how to be with yourself without eating or without doing something that causes you, unhappiness or harm, then you can't really give yourself to somebody in a relationship. So I remember telling Michael, hey, I'm not a size 0, so if that's what you're looking for, like we should probably just stop talking now. But he was really sweet, and he said, I like you for you. And it kind of like made me feel like, like if he likes me and he already knows what I look like, we hadn't met yet in person, but he knows what I look like, he's seen my pictures, then I want to get better and I want to be better for me. So that summer I actually started getting a little bit more serious with my weight loss. So this is the summer of 2017, and I started going to the gym a little bit more frequently. We weren't really doing the aqua fitness classes anymore, so I would go to the gym just to do the elliptical. And I really like to be like 100% honest with you. I would go to the gym and do the elliptical. Some days I would do 30 minutes, some days I would only do 15, and that was perfectly fine. So right there, this is the beginning of my weight loss journey. I'm starting to lose weight. I was just going to the gym doing the elliptical 15 minutes a day maybe. We also live by a lake, so I would also go for walks. Maybe I would walk the distance of the lake maybe once or twice, a couple times a week. And that's 3.5 kilometers. But I was doing that, and I was eating a little bit later. I had decided that I was going to drop the junk food that didn't make me feel good, drop all the, candy and cookies that I didn't really need and I didn't even love. I was just eating them because they were there. I started doing intermittent fasting. So I would go to work in the morning, because this is the summertime. I would go to work in the morning. I would come home for my break, and I would have a big bowl of chili. Maybe I I want to say probably weighed 400 to 500 grams of chili, and not like a keto chili. Like I'm talking like all the vegetables, lean meat, sometimes beef, sometimes turkey, but like beans. I think my mom would put like red beans and black beans in our chili, and it was like a nice big bowl of chili, and I would put, I think maybe like 30 grams of shredded cheese on top. I would heat it up in the microwave, eat it, and have some, like maybe an apple and some cheese on the side. So then by the time I came home from work, it would be like late in the afternoon, and I would eat dinner by myself, because I know that my family eats dinner pretty much past 7 most nights, just because that's when my mom can have dinner ready. But I was eating dinner by myself, and I was having like a bowl of fruit, probably like an apple or a couple apples. I was having maybe like 4 tablespoons of peanut butter and some more cheese. And that was like, I was doing that almost every day. And I don't mean to say that like, oh, I was only eating a bowl of chili, cheese, and an apple a day. Like I was having large servings, but I was keeping myself full, I was keeping myself happy, and I was eating food that I was enjoying, and it was way better than what I was typically used to. So for you, you might think that, okay, that doesn't sound like a balanced diet. It probably wasn't, but it was way better than what I was used to eating for so long. So then in the evening, I would maybe go to the gym, and if I did, maybe it was 15, maybe it was 20 or 30 minutes on the elliptical. Typically it was just 15 minutes, but then sometimes I would also add a walk around the lake, which was about 3.5 kilometers. And when I was on the elliptical, I wasn't killing myself. I was just kind of getting into it, building up a little bit of a sweat, but I wasn't going crazy. So by the end of the summer, which was now the end of August, I weighed myself, and I was now 285. So from January weighing in around 320, 325, I had dropped about 40 pounds in the summer. And I remember people mentioning it at one of my jobs. It was my last day there, and I had to go in and give my notice that I was leaving the job. I hadn't seen the receptionist there because it was an agency job, so I had placements every day, so I'd be going to different places. I was never in the office. I remember going in to hand in my 2 weeks notice, and she was saying, wow, you look so good, you look like you've lost a bit of weight. And I was like, yeah, I've been trying, like, thanks so much for noticing. And I felt really good. But then after weighing myself, I realized that from January I had lost 40-ish pounds. It was really happening within the months of July and August. And then I decided to meet Michael. So Michael and I started dating around the first week of September of 2017. We met and we instantly really liked each other, so we started to date, and I was feeling really good. By the end of 2017, so now Michael and I had been dating a couple months, I went down to 255. So I had lost another 30 pounds from September to December. So in that 4 months, I lost another 30 pounds. So my total weight loss for the year of 2017 was about 60 pounds. And I was feeling really good. I went from 325 to 315, then down to 255 within a year. And then 2018 started, and it was kind of like the first full year that I was in a relationship. So it was getting kind of hard. My gym membership for the recreation center was up. I had to choose to join another gym. And then I was also dating. So we would like to go, out to eat. Not very often though, not even once a month would we go out to eat, but it was more like if we were eating at home and he was having seconds, then I would want to have seconds. Or if he was, itching for a dessert, I would want a dessert too. And typically because he was new around there, we actually had dessert around the house often because, it was like a new person in the house. He's like this new guest and we wanted to entertain him, and there was always dessert around. So I ended up joining Crunch Fitness, and that was the gym that my mom was going to. So I would go to the gym at nighttime and I would go on the elliptical. It was still the only thing I was comfortable doing at the time, but I was getting a lot better. I would record pictures of myself, and every time that I went, I would see if I got a little bit better, and eventually I did get a lot better. I was doing about 5,000 steps in 30 minutes, but it was kind of still the only thing I was comfortable doing. So then Michael and I were seeing each other as often as we could, but when he was here, I didn't want to work out, or I was eating what he was eating, and then when he was gone, I would be working out. Basically for all of 2018, I didn't really lose any weight. I started the year at 255 and I finished it at 255 or maybe 260, but I think that I did some toning. I think I lost a few inches around my waist. And one thing that I never really did was actually track my measurements. I only recently started doing that, but I believe at my heaviest I was over 60 inches around the waist. And in the year 2018, I was just going to the gym and eating lighter when I could. And I think I didn't lose any weight, but I might have shrunk some inches because I feel like my pants sizes was fluctuating throughout the year. So then for 2019, which was last year, I started the year around 255 to 260, and I wanted to get back on track. I switched the gyms that I was going to, so I started going to a different location of Crunch Fitness, and this was one that my sister kind of introduced me to. I had a friend join that gym with me, so we were going together as often as we could, and I started to get a little bit more comfortable with trying new things. So I tried some of the workout equipment, some of the thigh machines. I would do some squats, I would do some other body weight stuff or some like lightly weighted exercises, but that was really about it. And then in the spring of 2019, I started trying running. So I would go on the treadmill in the morning and I would walk for 15 minutes and then I throw in a little bit of jogging. So I would do maybe a minute here, a minute there, to the point where I could do like 15 minutes straight. But my running speed was really like a power walk, I would say. It wasn't like sprinting, it wasn't really even running, it was simply just jogging. But I got into that around May of 2019 and I did that for May and June. And then I saw a personal trainer. My mom had some prepaid personal training classes that she wasn't interested in using, so she let me use them. So I saw a trainer a couple of times in June, and she gave me a little bit of tips and tricks, but I wanted to use the sessions, so because we were going on vacation in July, and I wanted to kind of like tone a little bit just before that vacation. But the personal training, it didn't really do much for me apart from teaching me to be comfortable with new moves and new exercises. So sorry if the lighting's changed. My camera battery ran out, so I had to go quickly put it to charge. But I'm back and I'm going to tell you the rest of my story and then get into my plans for the summer. So basically after the summer, after we'd gone on vacation, I was feeling really good about myself because I feel like doing new exercises with a personal trainer had really helped me. By the end of the summer, I wanted to get back into my fitness routine after vacation. I didn't really go to the gym too heavily, but I was working back into that routine. So by September and October, I got back into running and I was doing it pretty frequently. In October, I actually did it every single day, and September, I used that to build up to an everyday kind of routine. But I used the Couch to 5K app, and I would every day monitor the speed that I was going, the endurance that I was building, and the length that I was able to go for. And then November and December are kind of hard for everyone. I was doing some gym workouts with my boyfriend. My friend had eventually left that gym, so we weren't going to the gym together anymore, but I was also incorporating more at-home workouts to my routine. So I would use the Nike Training Club app, and it would have workouts that you can do with just one set of dumbbells and maybe a yoga mat. So by the end of 2019, I finished the year at 235, I believe. So I started the year around 225 and I ended it around 235. So I lost about 20 pounds throughout the year. It was really just mostly the latter part of the year with incorporating the running, but some weight loss happened in the spring when I was also doing a bit of running and more strength training at the gym. So that brings me to 2020. In 2020, my boyfriend and I created a workout routine. We were going to the gym, I believe, Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. We had an arm day, leg day, a full body day, a core day. We structured it out and we were going very frequently. We were, tracking all of our weights, tracking how many reps we were doing, the measurements, everything. And it was going really well for us, and it was just something to do instead of watching TV, which we had spent doing basically for the entire latter part of the year. And then the world erupted into this whole coronavirus and this whole COVID-19 thing. We actually ended up quitting the gym a couple months before it really got serious here in Canada. I believe it got serious around the middle of March, but we had both quit the gym in the middle of February. So by the mid-February, we were actually doing exclusive home workouts. So I found the app FitOn, and basically FitOn is an app where you can scroll through video classes of workouts and different strength training, yoga routines, Pilates, bar. They have all kinds of workouts, and it's completely free to use. You can upgrade to a premium membership if you want to, but for the most part, the app is completely free. It's free to stream. It's free to, you know, track all your progress and the workouts that you're doing. I think they even have like some workout routine builder so that it will tell you, you know, today you need to be doing your blah, 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 or it's arms or it's core or it's legs. But basically what I've been doing is I do full body on Monday, arms on Tuesday, legs on Wednesdays, take a break on Thursdays, core on Friday, and some glutes and full body on Saturday. But also every single day I run on the treadmill. So I started this year, I would walk for 5 minutes, run for 5 minutes. And now I've gotten to the point where I do a 5-minute warm-up walk, but I'm running for a steady 25 to 30 minutes. And I wake up at 5:10 in the morning. I get my run in just before I'm, you know, preparing Michael's lunch for him to take to work. But it's really helped me, and I've gotten so much better, and I can really feel it in the shape of my body. I've like really completely flattened out. I need to lose more weight. I would say I'd like to lose another 50 pounds to kind of get to my true goal weight, or to get to my healthy weight, I should say. But it's going really good for me. That leads me to where I am right now. So for right now, you can't go to the gym anyway, so I'm going to continue with my workout routine. I've been doing FitOn in the evening, running in the morning. I'm doing salads and a protein for lunch. I eat dessert every night. I have a dinner with my family. I intermittent fast my breakfast, but sometimes I have something if I'm hungry. I don't want to restrict myself too heavily. And for my current stats, I weighed in the beginning of May, I was 220, which means for this year I've lost about 25 pounds to the end of May right now. So I have to weigh in actually tomorrow to see what I accomplished in the month of May. And I think it was a really good month. I think I'm going to be really happy with my results. So I'm going to put my before and afters here. I'll try to cycle through a couple images so you can kind of see where I was, where I am. And you can see that there is a place that I need to get to. I am by no means your dream body, your bikini ready fit, but I am so much happier with the way that I feel. My health has never been better, and I'm just happy. I enjoy what I do. So if you would like to hear more about my fitness tips, my tricks, what I've done, the meals that I'm eating, please consider subscribing to this channel, because we would love to have you in our little family. Sarah and I make videos on everything from health and fitness, food, drink, you know, things around the house, baking, parties. We love to throw a good party. We actually used to be event planners, but if you like what you see, please subscribe. And if you have any video recommendations, if there's something specific you'd like me to touch upon that has to do with, you know, my gym, my weight loss, my eating, I would be happy to make that video. I just want to know what you guys want to see. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon.